بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Before I start, I would like to thank the Saudi Association of Teachers for the invitation to be with you guys and to talk about one of the interesting topics, that is data governance. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to take you first to the value of data, just to understand the value of data. Then we'll talk about the data management issues, and then try to define the data governance. And then we'll try to make the correlations between the data governance and related frameworks. And then we'll talk about big data analytics, and talk about the critical success factors that will impact the data governance and implementation. So, why we are talking about data governance today? If you look to the data, actually, it's the valuable assets that any organization these days have. Unfortunately, if you look to the organization, they don't consider the data as an asset. They always look to the physical assets or physical things as an asset. They try to protect, retain, and manage. But with the pure data, they don't do that. We've been hearing a lot that data is an enterprise asset, but unfortunately, we don't see any practice from the organization to really manage that asset. As you know, data is the breed. It's if the breed is full of applications. You can't have applications without having data. And you can't have any applications or building anything on top of the applications like getting information or leading you to the knowledge without having data out in the first place. So data is stored and managed by infrastructure, by taking it or entering it through applications, storing it in some sort of hardware. So as I just mentioned, tangible organization assets is the one, or are the one, that is taking the organization attention. If you take, for example, ECUs, printers, you're going to find that this printers has a tag. And there is an asset management system that has information about that device, and who is using that device, and how long this device was in place. So all this information has been kept about the physical asset. But when it comes to the information, we build application all on the way, but we don't keep track of our data. We end up having redundant data. We end up having data that is incomplete to the natural application. Okay. So if you want to use this data and you have multiple versions of data, which one are you going to use? You need to have a single source or a single source of truth to your data. So why are bothering and building applications and each application introducing data? Why not to look at our data that we have, our, let's say, dictionary, our data architecture, which shows us where is the data that I needed for my application. And I don't need to bother our cryptography index. That will help us to have a single source of data. And we can then assess the quality of that data. Right now, we have different versions. Which one are you going to assess? That's the problem. So why did it not be taking the attention? Because it's intangible. I don't see it. Okay. Like the information security. People, they leave the information security at the end because it's not functionally required. It's intangible. The same thing for data. So in order for the organizations to look and consider this data, you need to put what? Value for data. If you put value for data, based on the value data of the data, you're going to see how much of efforts that you need to put on that data. So information is indeed a high value asset of enterprise. Nowadays, if you want to build business strategy, how are we going to do it? You're going to rely on some information. How are we going to get this information? From the data that you have. Based on this data and information, these things might change the way that you're going to plan or put your strategy. All the decision makers, they need what? Information. For what? To create decisions. without having information that would be generated from data, let's say high quality data, that's my deadline for decisions. So, what do you do when you have something bad or valid? You would like to retain it, protect it, and then manage it. So this is what we would like to do for our data. So if you look at the engineering model, we start by having data, which is kind of facts. Data that will be generated from transactional systems. Okay? When you put this data into a context, you bring this data and make a context that will make information. The information with sort of data that might create an output. With this one, you will be able to make, to some extent, a correct decision. So data is the representation of facts like this, number, graphics. And nowadays, data is coming from many sources and is growing and actually really scary to some extent that you can't even be able to manage these days. So it's the raw material. It's the raw material that you produce information on. The information is, it's actually data in context. That's it. You take all the data, try to make context, that will make or produce the information. Without that context, the data is meaningless. When you look to the knowledge is information in perspective, integrated into viewpoint based on interpretation patterns. So that's it. So you take the information, it's actually the information. You might use some of the data to create that viewpoint, but indeed it's information perspective. So knowledge is about understanding the significance of information. You will get information, but you will create some knowledge after that information, some viewpoint. And that might lead to have an effective action. So let's look at, we just elaborate now the data and information knowledge. Now let's look at the data management issues. Brief. There's an issue of discovery, integration, insight, dissemination, management, quality, and security. So what are the issues? You tackle the discovery. I cannot find the right information. Nowadays, go to any organization and ask for specific information what the analyst of the CI organization is going to limited. I think this information is with the RD department. No, it's with maybe the integration department, maybe academic, maybe informatics, etc. So there is no such a reference that they can find with the information. Integration cannot manipulate the final information. What is the common problem that most of the organization is suffering from? When the ICT wave started, each functional department, they were thinking in isolation. I want to build my own system. I have my functions. So I have my system X, and that department will need Y and Z, etc. And at that time, they said, we didn't need any information from others. That's sufficient. Later on, they are going to start thinking, well, I would like to have a holistic view of what's going on. I don't need to know what is in that department, but I need to correlate information from this department with the other department to create something that might drive or change something in my, could be strategic objectives within my strategy, for example, is a strategy. That's the mandate for integration. So people thought that integration is something simple. Is bring an integration engine and we are done. It's not that easy. When they go to integration engine, they end up having, well, we have many sources of data. Which one are we going to take? Which one are we going to consider? I didn't have any evidence. So that's one of the problems, integration. And I would say most of the organizations are suffering from the data integration. Insight cannot extract value and knowledge from information. I didn't know what I have actually. So how can I really extract or get value? Quality of the data. Is it maintained? We don't know. Maybe something like that system that's being built by that department, they are, let's say, employing some sort of quality control for the other departments to do it. So, quality varies. Dissemination. How can I disseminate information? I am seeing silos of systems, silos of data stores. How can I disagree? And under what kind of assurance, or security assurance, or information security assurance, I can look. I want to disseminate the data to authorize people, legible people. That's one issue as well. Management cannot manage and control information volumes and all. This is what is government nowadays. We built our infrastructure with estimation of size of the data. And nowadays, the data is almost tripled every year. So what about the system that they built was capable to handle that amount of data? But with the growth that I'm seeing in the data, I cannot anymore handle or manage the data. Data that's created, the types of data that entered in my organization from the public, so it's not anymore my intent. I would say that none of the current, I would say most of the organizations, they don't have, or maybe they have it in their policy, assuring the quality, but they don't enforce it. They don't audit it. So how could you assure that when the user enters the data is entering it with cautious? That, I have to be careful. This data has to come with high quality. No, they are treating the data with careless. So what that cost? Poor data quality costs real money. You need to close the data if it comes with poor quality. Okay. And you want to create information or knowledge out of it. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you have low quality data within your organization, is not beneficial to mine or create or generate information or knowledge out. What can happen to these processes? Look in fact, we get it. Because processes, what does it mean? Data, if your data comes from low quality, or what are you going to do? Or what are you going to produce from your processes? Will be also low quality. Because business processes depends on use of data. What potential benefits of new system would not be realized because of poor data quality? We've seen a lot of organizations saying, well, the trend is towards business intelligence. And they build the company. And the company will do the demonstration system. This is a dashboard that we can trace commercial. This is a target alert, etc. Fancy. Great, we can do it. But when you put it on place and you bring your data, poor quality data, what are you going to generate? False information. So all what we have built is not beneficial for the organization. And I know some of the organizations who spent almost 78 million riyal in technology. And they thought that with the technology they can build the business intelligence and they can fly with the analytics. But they failed. And then they realized that the problem is with their data. We need to do some housekeeping first. Look at our data. Then we can put the technology layer on top of it to create the information and knowledge. Definitely, all the decision-making process will be impacted negatively if the data that will be provided or information that will be provided comes with low quality. So we see the impact of data quality. How possible? That's another dimension. Now the data are stored in each department. But how do they control the dissemination of the data? How do they care about the confidentiality of the data? Do they care about the integrity of the data? Do they care about the availability of the data? That's another issue. Because many business departments, they have their own system, but they don't care about this. It's operational, so I have to buy it. So what is data governance? Let's look at this definition, and then we will try to make the components of data governance. The first definition, data governance is a system of decision rights and accountabilities for information-related processes executed according to agreed-upon models which describe who can take what actions with what information and when and what circumstances to work with it. So focusing decision rights, accountabilities, and models. Let's go to the second definition. Data governance is the application of policies, processes designed to extract the maximum value from data. How will an organization, while also managing risk, enhancing privacy, protection, and ensuring that compliance becomes other. So we are talking about people, roles, processes, and also technology. To achieve what? To provide trust, access, understanding of data. So that's what data governance is. What are the people that we are mentioning here? People will be the decision makers. They are one of the users. Will be data owners who create or who enter the data or own the data. And that will take us to another dilemma, which is another debate. Who owns the data with the organization? Is it the one who enters the data? Is it the organization who is maintaining the data, etc.? For the roles, it's covered policies, requirements, standards, accountabilities, controls, etc. For the processes, creating, collecting, aligning data, data management, data quality, business intelligence, data warehouse, data security. And for the technology, it covers the data architecture, data integration, and data interfaces. So what do we do in data governance? In data governance, we exercise the ability and control over the dynamic data assets. So we would be like offering body for the data. For any application that needs to be developed, it has to go to an author, let's say, an authoring body that will look at the data. Do we have it? Use what we have. We don't have it? Okay, fine. But the data that you want. Let's define it. What does it entail? What's the definition of it? Let's build its metadata, etc. So by doing so, we are kind of the authority of the authoring body within the organization, and also playing the control role. Also, with the data governance, we provide an operating unit that will be responsible to manage data information as a key enterprise asset. As I just mentioned, for the physical asset, you can find the logistic or asset department responsible for the physical asset. So you need to have an operating unit that will capture the data as an asset. So I didn't just leave it like for the IT. It's not an IT job to maintain or manage the data assets. So it's include organization, because we just mentioned it. We should have an organization unit within the whole organization. It should have processes, how to govern the data, and what are the tools that we need to do our activities or functions. So some of the elements that is within data governance, decision-making authority, compliance, policy standards, data inventories, full lifecycle management, content management, records management, preservation, disposal, data quality, data classification, security, risk, and valuation. So what are the goals of data governance? To define, approve, communicate what? Data strategies. I have to have data strategies within my organization. I have my business strategies. I have my IT strategies aligned to my business strategies. What about my data strategies? It should be in place. Like security strategies, like cloud strategies. Also, we need to have policies. How you need to communicate to the people how they should manage the data. It's through having a policy set by whom? Senior management. Taken by the organization itself. And standards. You don't let the people work the way they like. They have to standardize their work, standardize their data. What type of data will they use? Take, for example, health-related system. Often they go with a chill center. So we agree that chill center is our standard for communication. So I should not accept or allow any system or any RP or any healthcare system to go without having the one which also in compliance to ensure that whatever I'm getting can be communicate with my existing system. Architecture. I have to start putting my data application. You're putting in our infrastructure architecture. You put your technology architecture. Okay, you're putting your business process architecture, which is the business process, business processes. You also put your data architecture and map it to your business processes. So you know where the data is being used. And what's the impact of, if you lose one of the data, what business process will be impacted. So, which is not very. The other goal is to track and enforce regularity, compliance, and conformance to data policies, but also we are good by putting policies, targeting, etc. But we are bad at executing it and later audit. We need to ensure that the people are really in compliance with what we have set. to sponsor, track, oversee the delivery of data management project and services. This organization that will be looking after data governance will be responsible to look at or participate with the ongoing information-related projects to ensure the compliance, to ensure that what they are doing is aligned with the strategy developed. Manage and resolve data-related issues. If I have issues with data, I figure out that they have redundant data. Who should resolve? Who is the one capable to resolve this problem? That should be the one. Understand and promote the value of data assets. Now, as I just mentioned earlier, we need to put the value for the data. Why? Because based on the value, we will see how much efforts we need to pay for that asset. For example, if we think of making the security, I can put high-level security solution. But if the data work low money, for example, is it work highly investment? No. That's why we need to put value, so we can really measure our investment properly. So data governance have many disciplines. We have here data quality, we just mentioned, auditing the reporting, which is also mentioned, data stewardship, which is kind of quality control discipline designed to ensure custodial care of data for data assets, security, privacy, compliance, we mentioned, metadata, which is data about the data, just to give a definition of the data itself, risk assessment, data architecture, policies, organization awareness. We have to make you made the whole thing, you made the strategy, you made everything. You need to make the people of the organization aware of data governance, importance of the data assets, and also information lifecycle management. So what are the core of data management initiatives? Data operation management, that's offline initiative. Reference and master data management, where all the data will be there. Document and content management. Now, we have a system that captures some of the data, but we have some unstructured data. Unstructured data, how we can use this unstructured data. This unstructured data, if we capture it, we will be creating a lot of information that will be useful for the organization, which is not yet in place. Data security management should be addressed. Data development, how you will generate for any of the project, the breadth of the data. Data quality management, data management, data warehouse, which is a step for BI or analytics, and then the database architecture management. Okay, so if you look at the core functions of data governance, and it's split into data management planning and data management, and it has other functions within each one of these. Okay, now I want to, I realize the importance of data. I know what's data governance. I want to start. But I want to know where am I now? There is a data governance maturity model that has 5 stages. Initial management. So if you want to apply data governance, you have to put a target for yourself. So you will say, well, like for security, you say, I want to apply all the security controls to be eligible or be able to get the ISO 27001, for example. Or for the quality of the ISO 9001, for example. So I need to have some targets for them. So you can use this maturity model. See where yourself now and aim for higher. And you know what you are doing over here is impacting or improving what business process is. Now, we'll go quickly through some of the frameworks that relate to data governance. Okay, you realize now, focus data, understand data governance, and you put a target for yourself to go for, which is based on the data governance maturity model. So how can I start? What's the framework? Shall I go and build something, or is there something really made that can? Actually, we're going to look at 3 related frameworks. First one is JMBOK, the Data Management Book of Knowledge, which gives very detailed information about data management. TOGAF, the Open Group Architecture Framework, which gives one of the activities there is building the data architecture, which is something that you need. COBIT, Control Objective for Information and Related Technologies, which has something related to the information security, data security and privacy, which is something needed for the data governance. So I'll try to go through this slide just to give you an introduction about the data management book of knowledge. It's a generalized and comprehensive framework for managing data across the entire life cycle, developed by Data Management Association. It provides a detailed framework to assist development and implementation of data management processes and procedures. By itself, it's not a solution for the data management, but it's needed. Third, on the other hand, we define a process for enterprise architecture definition including data. And we're going to see the following slide where the data architecture activities occur within the framework. So in the Gumbo we said that it provides a very detailed framework related to data management. In TOGAF, it gives you a high level where the demo can help you to take that high level and break it down. So COVID is concerned with IT governance, and a lot of people they do have this misconception that data governance is IT governance. It's totally different. Data governance has some aspect that is listed with one of the domains of COVID or IT governance.
Excuse me, you mean by TOGAF is tools or what?
TOGAF is a framework. TOGAF is a framework for operating. It's actually for the enterprise architecture. Takes you from visioning to business architecture to your information architecture, technology architecture, etc. And this framework, some of the organizations are using it to build their IT strategy to some extent. So what we're talking here about is not the tools, all are frameworks. Okay? So within the COVID, it has a process that is related to data management, but it's not all about data management. Neither TOGAF nor COVID are concerned with detailed data management, design, and implementation, which DIMPOC is offering. So we have, COVID has something to do with data governance, TOGAF has something, and DIMPOC. So let's see. So this is what I show you, where the data architecture is happening, which is related to the data governance. It's happening within the information system architecture. So it has two sub-activities, one to build the data architecture, and one to build the solution and application architecture. And the data architecture, which is going to be very fast, that captures all your data within your organization and the relation between the data. So the data architecture within TOGAF, the purpose of it is to define the major types and sources of data and systems to support business. Okay, you want to build your enterprise architecture, take it as a general. You need to know what data that you have. Okay, so you have to go to all the systems, break down, and find all the data used in the systems. And try to build the architecture, the mapping between the data and how the data that is within that system is used with that system. You need to understand the relationship, because what is happening nowadays, if you want to put some of the system down or one business process is down, do you know what's the impact? We didn't know. We just look at physical things and we say, well, that's what they did. But we don't know about business processes what they did. Or about if the day one of the data gets corrupted. What's the impact on business processes? We try to guess what are the applications and what are the business processes of that application that use the data, and we should not present it more because we have corrupted data. So the data architecture will be generated from TOGAF will be generated in a way that is understandable by stakeholders, complete and consistent, and stable. I'll try as much as I can to capture all the data within my organization. So look, data architecture is a subset from some of the artifacts that will be generated from TOGAF. But what I'm saying here that there's some aspect of TOGAF, because there is no such data governance framework. There is some, some newcomers or newcoming frameworks. But what I'm trying to show to you that the data governance actually is there. But you need to take some part from TOGAF, some part from COVID and DIMPOC, and then you can make your data governance. But enterprise architecture nowadays is needed for any organization. Because in the past we don't care about mapping. Yeah, we just think about servers, databases, that's it. But what you need to look at is you have your infrastructure, technology infrastructure. Okay? And you have to double fit your business process. Then you have to double fit your data. So you need to have the mapping So if one of the servers got shut down or got malfunction for any reason, you shouldn't say that the server is down. Nowadays, they can ask you what the business processes are being mapped. So you can say, based on the mapping, these are the business processes that you're going to impact on will be. Okay? And data architecture doesn't care about the design of logical or physical storage system. I don't care about how you put the entity relationship, etc. I care about data. I don't care about the mapping and the relationship between this data and the other data, etc., or the attribute, etc. I need only the data. So I'll just focus on the last one. In COVID, what is the part that is really important for us in data governance is the issue, actions related to backing up data, testing restoration, managing on-site and off-site storage of data, securely disposing of data and equipment. These are the things within COVID that is of interest to us when it comes to data governance or management. So where is the data governance between all these frameworks? So until what we know that it has data development, data operation, and purpose and master data management, data warehouse, document, etc. We have in charge of data architecture, management, and migration. And COVID, we have the data security. So data governance is the intersection of all the three frameworks. Where you're going to have all these being listed on the slide, use it, that will form the data governance for you. Wait. Now, each one is a journey. Each one is a journey. Let's take, for example, the enterprise architecture. If you talk about the greenfield organization, it might be kind of easy. But if you talk about the brownfield organization, it will take years to build that. But what you need to do from startup, you need to complete the whole cycle. Once you have the data architecture, that's enabled for data governance. When you have the policies from the COVID related to the data security, backup, etc., that's what you need to put for data governance. And you will take the detailed information from the field book, and that's how you're going to manage your data. So we can't just look at the data, what's the issues, and realize the importance of data governance. And we see the relationship of how we can create frameworks to build our data governance. Now, we are in the era of big data. We've been hearing big data many times. And I can say how we can find a conference. There is no session for big data. It becomes the big data era. So what's the definition of big data? Let's look at it. Big data exceeds the reach of commonly used hardware environments and software tools to capture, manage, and process it within a tolerable elapsed time for its user population. So it's something beyond our usual reachability. The other definition, big data refers to data sets whose size is beyond the ability of typical database software tools to capture, store, and manage and analyze. So what is big data about? Is it about volume? It's about 3 V's. It's about volume, which is we are witnessing. It's about validity. We have big types or many types of data. We have structured, semi-structured, etc. Look at the sources of the data. Tremendous. I mean, with the use of social media, with the use of the digital world, the sources of data becomes endless. That's maybe the dimension of data is bigger. And also the velocity. We have batch data, we have real-time data. So the graph of the data is coming up. So big data is about 3 things: volume, validity, and velocity. So what do you think our mission for data governance? Is it? When they built the data governance, they were thinking of data governance technology. With the introduction of big data, now they're starting with terminology. Say, we need to make a big data governance now. Things is getting better now. And there is, I think, a published book about big data governance. And they are trying now to see what things need to be added to the regular data governance to accommodate or maintain the issue of big data. So, what else we can use the data for? We have also the analytics. We have the big data era, and people also talking about analytics. Again, a lot of conferences is at is touching this topic there. If you look to the CIO survey, you're going to find that business intelligence and analytics is among their top priorities. Let's look at this slide. One in three business leaders prefer to make critical decision without information they need. So, third of the senior management, they use their personal knowledge, their individual knowledge to make decisions. But do you think that they are able to do it this way? No, because they have to. But where is it? Put my hand in it. I need it. But they couldn't find it. Again, where the analysis is going to be done. So we realize the importance of analytics for senior management and for us for our operational management. People start thinking, okay, we need to take the analysis to take us to a new dimension. Now what we are doing actually with analytics, we are making descriptive analytics, trying to, or diagnostic analysis, trying to understand what's going on. Okay? But we want to go beyond the descriptive, predictive. I have data of past years. I can project or predict what's going to happen. And this is needed a lot for those who are making the strategy, for the projection. Also, we need to go to a further dimension, which is risk taking. So, organization these days, they are using this maturity model as a driver. They want to go from descriptive to predictive as a first stage, then to go to prescriptive. Third platform. It's a new terminology just introduced last week in the ITC-CIO summit, that they were saying that we are in a new era now, and we need really to define what's this era is about. They put three platforms. First one is about the mainly system, mainly terminals, and that system leads to services. Second platform about the IT agility, which is about network, etc., which leads to business agility. The new era, which is the third platform, has 4 components. Cloud. I think all of you heard about the cloud. I don't believe in the IT strategy that does not mention the cloud as part of the initiative. Mobility. Everyone is thinking of, I need to have mobile applications, mobile apps, etc. Social businesses, and this is my interest, is big data analytics. It's there. And let's try this one. Information. Again, we're going to information that will be created from the data. So there is really an importance about the data. What you can create from this information is innovation. Great, so we understand and we are kind of convinced about the data governance. But what are the critical success factors that they have to consider when I will do this part? Accountability and strategic accountability. The executive leadership has a clear mandate to define which becomes process. Name of the project, name it, X project is making it successful in your organization if you don't need full support from your senior manager. Name it, security, business process engineering, data governance, architecture. If there is no support from senior management, it's not there. And we can see that the leadership support in any, let's say, it's a critical success factor or any IT-related implementation, you're going to find it as one of the critical success factors. Standards. You need to have standards. And the data standards, you can build it as part of the TOGA framework. When you start the division phase, in the division phase, you have to come up with all your standards, where you're going to come up with your data standards. Choosing strategy point of control. Controls need to be put in place. You need to define what or how the control is going to be done, and when and where. You have to put, because you can make the policies and you can put some guidelines for controlling the data control, but if you don't put how you're going to do it, means that you haven't done it. Addressing complexity. We know that the data has been entered by stakeholders, and the stakeholders will be the one who will be taking the data. So you need to do a proper management for disseminating the data to those stakeholders. Metric. Specific data quality metrics is important. You need to put You need to build some metrics for data. You need to, in order for you to measure against. You don't feel that the participant of this project is not going to be successful. Training and awareness. You're starting anything, you need to make the people aware of what you're doing. You put a strategy, share it with them. You put policies, make it publicly available. You put some procedures and train them how to do it. All these are required. So I hope that I didn't take more than what's been estimated for me. So I'd like to thank you for your attention and trying to receive any question from you.
Now we go for questions from the mail side and the video side as well. We go for questions.
What is the difference between corporate governance and IT governance and information security? Because it seems to me they have a relationship with each other, and each function support the organization to survive. So this is not the first question. Second question, who will be responsible for the data organization?
Good. The relationship between the corporate governance and the IT governance and security governance, data governance, etc. Security governance and data governance can go. Data governance is partially contained in the IT governance, but it's not totally. Security governance, there is some sort of controls within the domains of the IT governance where they address the security. IT governance is part of the corporate governance. Corporate governance is at the organizational level. Okay, IT governance is at the vertical for the IT. But the security governance again is something is not vertical, is horizontal as well. So you can say it has part within the IT governance, but it's not immediate. There is some intersection.
But I think there is overlap because the information we care about the data classification, which is the data. The same thing with the data.
That's what I'm saying. There is intersection. There are some areas where the IT governance, for example, intersect data governance, intersect with information security governance. You can't say that things independent. It has some relation. That's what. For the data governance, you need to establish a unit. A unit that will be responsible for looking at the data as an asset, enforce the policies, audit the policies, and also enforce what is stated in the new project, so to avoid all the legacy mistakes. Any further questions?
What's the best way to do the data cleansing?
Many ways. I mean, data cleansing depends on the nature of the data that you would like to cleanse. But there is a well-defined process, SAC transfer law, and you can, you need to have the business side actually with you in the proper cleansing of the data. There's many ways. It depends on the data and the nature of the data itself. From the different side, the question? Sorry?
Any more questions? Thanks to one more thing that we have heard from him, that we are looking at policies and standards sometimes. We don't align these standards and policies. I have one more question about it. We need to be involved within the three frameworks. We said maybe it's a good idea to have these components, shared components between frameworks. I wonder whether if there is any tools that helps the organization during over the lead components, or do I need to start with ourselves?
I would say that each part is related to it. For example, all the processes, there is some tool that can do that one. Because it's around the data management. For the data architecture, you need to do, there are some tools, which is the Rust architecture tools. It can capture those artifacts, but you need to do and collect by yourself. So you have to go and look at the documentation for that application and what the data they are using, etc. For the target, there is hands-off let's say assistive tools that you can use to ensure the security of your data. But for that intersection, the purpose showing that intersection is most of the organizations nowadays, they are doing Rust application. And most of them, they do an IT governance. And also, they might be doing something. So if you have done these two initiatives, you are missing one, and you can comply or help with data governance. And I would say that even yesterday now, one of the projects that they are funding is the Rust application projects. Why yesterday as being that do they have it, and they're having the interest to fund that project? Because they know that the Rust application is going to play a big role for e-transformation. But there is no such a tool for data. Companies they claim, I don't believe that they do have the tools because data and action different.
Well, if there is no more questions, then please join me to thanks the level.